December 14, 2014, from MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. It was the Washington Redskins at the New York Giants in this NFC East Division rivalry matchup. The Giants won the toss. They elected to receive, and they would start with the ball on their own 23. And on first down, there was a penalty on the first play of the game, unnecessary roughness against the Redskins. And so now it would be a first down on the 41 for the Giants. They would end up punting from the 49 as they were unable to get a first down. And so now Washington would take over, backed up against their own end zone with 13 minutes on the clock in the first. And it was on their own 4-yard line. They were faced with a 2nd and 4 from the 10, and a penalty against the Giants, illegal use of hands, would make it a first down on the 14 for Washington. McCoy then ran for 20 yards and a first down at the 34. And then on 2nd and 3 from the 41, Alfred Morris ran for 14 yards and a first down as he brought the ball across midfield and into Giants territory at the 45 with the first down. Then on 3rd and 1 from the 36, Young ended up running for 3 yards and a first down as he brought the ball to the 33. But then they were faced with a burst in 15 from the 38 after a penalty, and McCoy ended up picking up 17 yards on a pass from, McCoy hit Red for a 17-yard pass, and that was the first down on the 21. But their drive would stall on the 17, and out would come Kai Forbath as he would attempt a 35-yard field goal. It was up. It was good as Washington put the first points on the scoreboard with the score Washington 3, New York 0. So now the Giants would take over on their own 44 after a 45-yard return by Parker on the kick. And now it was first down on the 44. Eli Manning was out there. He threw an incomplete pass. And then after a 6-yard pass to Donald on 2nd and 10, it was 3rd and 4 from the 50. Eli hit Ogletree for a 15-yard reception and a first down in Washington territory at the 35. Then on 2nd and 10, Eli Manning went to Parker. He picked up 12 yards and a first down on the 23. They're then faced with a 3rd and 5 on the 18. Eli hit Washington for a 4-yard pass and was now 4th and 1 on the 14. They elected to go for it, and Hanoski ended up picking up 2 yards in the first down as he brought the ball to the 12. Then on 3rd and 8 from the 10, Eli Manning out of the shotgun hits ODB, Odell Beckham Jr. for the 10-yard touchdown pass as the Giants took the lead with the score New York 7, Washington 3. So Washington would take over with less than 2 minutes left in the first quarter. They had the ball on their own 20. They were faced with a 2nd and 6 from the 24. And Deshaun Jackson ended up picking up 9 yards on an end around to get the first down on the 33. Red ended up picking up a yard and brought the first quarter to a close. And after 1 quarter of play, the score was New York 7, Washington 3. So now Washington would open up the second quarter with the ball on their own 34. It was 2nd and 9. RG3 went to Pierre Garçon for a 5-yard reception, but on 3rd and 4 from the 39, RG3 was sacked by Jenkins. He dropped him for an 8-yard loss, and out would come the punting unit. So now the Giants would take over after the punt on their own 22 with about 13 and a half minutes left before halftime. They ended up going 3 and out. And so they would punt the ball from their own 22. And so now Washington would take over on their own 23 with about 12 and a half minutes left in the second quarter. And on first down, Robert Griffin hit Pierre Garçon for a 22-yard reception and a first down that brought the ball to the Washington 45. Then on 2nd and 7 from the 48, Griffin went to Paul. He picked up 2 yards, and there ended up being a holding penalty against the defense. And so now it ended up being a first down on the 50. RG3 then went back to Paul, a 17-yard reception that brought the ball to the 33, and then RG3 went to Santana Moss. He picked up 18 yards and a first down in the red zone on the 15. Then on 3rd and 4 from the 9, Robert Griffin III dropped back in the shotgun. He found Thompson for a 9-yard touchdown as the Redskins took back the lead with the score Washington 10, Giants 7. So now New York would take over on their own 20 after the kickoff, and on first down, Eli Manning hit Odell Beckham Jr. for a 16-yard reception. There was a holding penalty against the defense. That was declined, but they also had a taunting penalty, and so now it was a first down in Washington territory for the Giants on the 49. But then on Second and 12, they'd pick up 5 yards, and an incomplete pass would bring out the punting unit. So they would punt from the 46, and now Washington would take over with 6.5 minutes left before halftime, and the ball on their own 9 as they were backed up against their own end zone. Alfred Morris then ran for 5 yards, and then another 8 yards on 2nd and 5, and now it was a first down on the 22 for Washington. They wouldn't pick up another first down, though, and out would come the punting unit to punt the ball from the 27. And so now New York would take over after the punt on their own 28. With about a little less than 5 minutes on the clock before halftime, they would go 3 and out and punt it from their 37. And so now the Redskins would get the ball back on their own 10 with less than 3 minutes on the clock before halftime. Morris picked up 9 yards on first down and another 3 yards for a first down that brought the game to the 2-minute warning with the ball on the 22. Then on 2nd and 10 from the 22, Robert Griffin hit Red for a 37-yard reception that brought the ball across midfield into the Giants' 41 for the first down. Griffin then hit Roberts for a 20-yard reception that made it a first down on the edge of the red zone at the New York 21. Then on 3rd and 3 from the 14, Robert Griffin hit Red for an 8-yard pass on a first down that made it 1st and goal on the 6. Then on 3rd and 8, Griffin scrambled, he scored the touchdown, but ended up being challenged and ended up being reversed, and they ruled that he only picked up 7 yards, and then he fumbled the ball, and then it would end up being a touchback. And so it ended up being the New York Giants, well, it ended up being the end of the first half, and there was even a penalty against Washington. Just, it was crazy. So now, to lead off this second half, the Redskins had the lead by 3 points with the score 10-7. The Giants would get the ball first, and after an onside kick, that's how they would start off with it on the 17. Eli Manning went to Odell Beckham Jr. He picked up 4 yards, and then another pass from Manning to Beckham picked up another 4 yards, and that brought up 3rd and 2, but a false start would make it 3rd and 7, and an incomplete pass would bring out Josh Brown to attempt a 32-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and this game was now tied at 10 apiece. So now Washington would take over on their own 29 with about 13 minutes left in the third. They were faced with a 2nd and 6 from the 33. Robert Griffin scrambled for 23 yards in the first down across midfield to the New York 44. Then on 3rd and 6, he hit Thompson for a 4-yard pass, but he was short of the first down, and they elected to go for it as it was 4th and 2 on the New York 36, and Robert Griffin was sacked for a 4-yard loss by Kennard and JPP. And Kennard forced the fumble, although it was recovered by the Redskins, but it was a turnover on downs, and so now the Giants would have the ball on their own 40 with a little over 9.5 minutes still left in the quarter. There was an incomplete pass on first down, but interference against the defense would make it a first down for the Giants in Washington territory on the 43. But they would end up punting the ball, though. Manning was sacked on 2nd down by Ryan Kerrigan, and then they fell short of the first down, and out would come the punting unit to punt from the Washington 45. So now Washington would take over on their own 7-yard line, pinned up against their own end zone, with 7.5 minutes still left in the third. They're faced with a 3rd and 6 from the 11. Robert Griffin then hit Roberts for a 61-yard reception. It was a short pass. Roberts took it all the way to the New York 28 as he brought it across midfield. So now on first down from the 28, Robert Griffin would run for 11 yards, and an unnecessary roughness penalty against the defense would make it 1st and goal on the 8 for Washington. They ended up losing 3 yards on first down, and an incomplete pass would bring up 3rd and goal from the 11. Out of the shotgun, Robert Griffin III dropped back, and he was sacked by JPP. So out would come Kai Forbath as he would attempt a 38-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and the Redskins took back the lead up by 3 with the score of Washington 13, New York 10. So now the Giants would take over on their own 19 with about a little less than 3.5 minutes left in the third. Then on 2nd and 8 from the 21, Eli hit Fells for a 16-yard pass and a first down that brought the ball to the New York 37. Then Eli went to Beckham. There was a defensive pass interference call against Washington, and so now it'd be a first down in Washington territory for the Giants. on the 40. So now on 2nd and 5 from the 35, no huddle in the shotgun. Eli Manning dropped back to pass, and he found Odell Beckham Jr. for the second touchdown connection of this game. A 35-yard touchdown pass to give the Giants back the lead by 4 points with the score New York 17, Washington 13. So now Washington get the ball with a little less than a minute and a half left in the third quarter. They had it on their own 20 to begin the possession. They were faced with a 3rd and 7 from the 23, and Robert Griffin III hit the tight end Jordan Reed, but he only picked up 2 yards as they would fall short of the first down, and the third quarter came to a close. So after 3 quarters of play, the score was New York 17, Washington 13. So now to start the fourth quarter, Washington would have the ball on their own 25 as they would punt it after having gone 3 and out on the possession. So now New York would take over on their own 46 with just a few seconds ticked off the clock in the fourth quarter. Then on 2nd and 5 from the Washington 49, Eli Manning hit Odell Beckham Jr. for a 12-yard reception, a first down on the Washington 37. They weren't able to get another first down, and they would end up going for it on 4th and 1 from the 28. And Odell Beckham, they tried a trick play, a end around, and he got stuffed for no gain. And so now they turn the ball over on downs. And so now Washington would take over on their own 28, trailing by 4 with 11 and a half minutes left in the fourth. They would end up going 3 and out as the New York defense came up with a big stop and forced them to punt from their own 35. So now the Giants would take over on their own 24 after the punt with 10 minutes still on the clock in this game. They were faced with a 2nd and 6 from the 28. Williams ran for 6 yards as they were just trying to run down the clock at this point. They were faced with a 2nd and 8, and Eli Manning went to Odell Beckham Jr. for a 9-yard pass that made it a first down on the 45. Then on 3rd and 2 from the Washington 47, Eli Manning went back to Odell Beckham Jr. for a 21-yard pass this time. There was actually a penalty against the defense. There was 12 men on the field, but even with 12 men on the field, they still couldn't stop ODB. So now it was a first down on the 26 for the Giants in field goal range, just 6 yards from the red zone. But then a holding penalty would push them back to the 36. Then it was 2nd and 20 from the 36. 2 plays later, and Eli Manning went to Odell Beckham Jr. He picked up 12 yards to make it 3rd and 8 from the 24. Now the no huddle in the shotgun. Eli Manning now went to Ruben Randall. He picked up 18 yards and a first down that made it 1st and goal on the 6. Then after an incomplete pass, it was 2nd down from the 6. 2nd and goal. Eli Manning dropped back to pass. He found Odell Beckham Jr. in the end zone for the 3rd time in this game. They connected for the touchdown, this one for 6 yards, as the Giants extended their lead to 11 points with the score now New York 24, Washington 13. So now Washington would take over on their own 40 after the kick went out of bounds. So the kick goes out of bounds. The Washington Redskins get it 60 yards from the end zone, needing 2 scores with less than 5 minutes on the clock. And after an incomplete pass on 2nd and 10, Robert Griffin III out of the shotgun was sacked by Hankins. He forced the fumble. Washington recovered it, so they kept the ball, but now they'd be faced with a 3rd and 22. And Robert Griffin III was sacked for the 2nd straight play, this time by JPP, as he got in the backfield once again. He was terrorizing them all game long, this time for a 7-yard loss. And out would come the punting unit to punt from the 21, as New York would now take over on their own 36 with 3.5 minutes left to play in this game with an 11-point lead. They would end up going 3 out, but they would end up forcing the Redskins to take their final 2 timeouts of this game. So the Giants would punt from the 42 to the Redskins, who would now take over on their own 18, but they would have no timeouts and just 2.5 minutes left on the clock, needing to score 2 touchdowns. So they were then faced with a 2nd and 5 from the 23. RG3 went to Thompson. He picked up 9 yards in the first down at the 32 that brought this game to the 2-minute warning. They were then faced with a 4th and 9, and they had to go for it, but they got a delay a game penalty, and then they decided to just punt the ball. And Odell Beckham Jr. ended up actually fumbling, and Washington recovered. But with just 9 seconds on the clock, it didn't even matter. They threw one last pass. It went to Deshaun Jackson, but this game came to a close with the final score: New York 24, Washington 13. And with the win, the Giants are now 5-9 on the season. They're 3-4 at home, still with a chance to go 500 at home, as there's 2 games left, one at road and one on the home. And then the Redskins, they're now 3-11 on the season, 1-7 on the road. So 1-7 in 2014 for the Redskins, as they have yet to surpass their 2013 win total, as they won only 3 games last year. And in this game, Eli Manning was 23 for 34. He had 250 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Robert Griffin III was 18 for 27. He had 236 passing yards and a touchdown. The leading rusher in this game was Alfred Morris. He had 14 carries for 49 yards. RG3 actually had 5 carries for 46 yards as well. He was the second leading rusher for Washington. The leading rusher for the Giants was Andre Williams. He had 18 carries for 44 yards. He also had 1 reception for 9 yards as well. And the leading receiver was Odell Beckham Jr. He had 12 receptions for 143 yards and 3 touchdowns. And the leading receiver for Washington was Andre Roberts. He had 2 receptions for 81 yards. And on defense, the leading tackler in this game was Perry Riley. He had 10 tackles for Washington. And the leading tackler for the Giants was JPP. He had 7 tackles, 2.5 sacks, and 5 QB hits. And for the Giants, Devin Kennard and Kerry Wynn also had 7 tackles. Kennard had a half a sack, along with 2 tackles for losses. And Wynn had 1 tackle for loss to go with his 7 tackles. The Giants ended up combining for 7 sacks in this game. Hankins had 2.5 sacks, Moore had a half sack, and Jenkins had a sack as well. And as I said, JPP had 2.5 and Kennard had a half sack as well. And the Redskins only had 1 sack, and that was Ryan Kerrigan. So, New York, they fell behind by 3. They took the lead. Washington took the lead back. New York tied it up. Washington took it again. But then in the final, end of the game, the final 16.5 minutes, New York scored 14 unanswered points as they sealed the victory with the second half comeback. And the final score, New York 24, Washington 13.